These are 2 mystery boxes. Inside them is something that is a major step for our channel. We've wanted it for a long time, and it's going to have a major influence on a lot of our content going forward as we build out our dream homestead.
It's been a while since we posted any dedicated homesteading content on our channel, but it's a huge part of our day-to-day lives with gardening, raising chickens, preserving food, etc. And we have plans to expand on this in the future, including raising more animals, different types of animals, and also adding more infrastructure.
Before we dig into these mystery boxes too far, let's address the other elephant in the room.
Literally. If you haven't guessed it already, we are expecting a baby. We've been together for about 10 years. We got married last year, and towards the end of last year, we started to do some research and planning for the whole entire process. Luckily, it was pretty easy for us to get pregnant, and we found out in the spring of this year that we're gonna be parents.
We knew for the gender of our first child, we wanted to know it ahead of time, not be a surprise at birth, just because we are such planners. So we did do that by ourselves, just in private, a little mini gender reveal. Our friend Lydia at our local ice cream shop helped us out.
It's on this side, other side. It's a little there.
Here she comes.
I'm nervously looking for any color. I didn't know if you wanted spoons.
I think it'll be helpful eventually.
Probably.
Yeah. Oh my God.
The gender reveal ice cream.
Oh
Thank
my
you,
gosh,
thank you.
Thank you. So is it vanilla on the outside?
Vanilla
Yeah.
on the outside. It's a chocolate core, but I don't know if it cracks, so I'm nervous.
It'll take us a while
Just don't
to
look
get.
too hard in it.
I was like, do I roll it in sprinkles?
She is a sprinkle girly, but
I love sprinkles.
We're in too deep at this
Yeah.
point.
I'm so excited.
Give me some licks.
Alex, that was aggressive. You said, give me some licks, and he goes, it broke it.
What is it?
I didn't look at it.
Okay.
I just saw the thing.
I saw the
broken.
cone was broken.
No, this is broken.
All right, well now we just gotta go for it. You just want to stab it with a spoon? All right. Get to a location where it's not cracked. Here, smooth some ice cream over the wound. We've healed the wound.
What are we doing? Are you trying to break through it?
I don't know.
Oh, you gotta tell me.
All right, I'm just digging to it right now.
Oh, why? Lydia's gonna have a heart
Right.
attack. I'm excited. I'm enjoying the ice cream. Should we tell Lydia? We'll tell Lydia our guess now. No.
Sure. All right. My side of the family has lots of boys, so I think it's gonna be a boy. But I think having like the oldest girl, sister, which you should know, is a good thing because she's like the caretaker of all the young ones.
We're in charge.
Exactly. And the most mature, because girls mature quicker. So I think it would be good to have a girl, but I think it's gonna be a boy.
Okay.
And I think that it's gonna be a boy too. But I don't. It's weird. It's like my brain thinks it's gonna be a boy, but my heart is like it could be a girl. But I'm happy either way.
Obviously.
Obviously.
All right, we're at the show. It is blue.
We guessed it right.
Tell me this is Cookie Monster.
It's amazing.
Cotton Blue Moon.
I didn't want any confusion.
It is Blue Moon. Yep.
This is so exciting.
Awesome. We're gonna have a son.
You were the right color. We both wore blue. Not even.
That was subconscious.
I think it's gonna be a boy, and I'm like,
That was a subconscious decision.
The blue ice cream. Verified. Yay!
it has
This
a
is so cool.
wiener.
This is awesome. It has a wiener.
Oh God.
Ask me about my wiener.
Are you gonna be a big brother? Georgie, that's a hawk.
Oh my gosh. George.
Fast forward to now, I'm currently 32 weeks pregnant and we will be expecting baby boy here very, very soon. We'll have a little Alex running around in no time. We are both very excited for this next new chapter and to teach this little one all of the things that we have learned over the years.
So, back to the mystery boxes. The boxes contained on these 2 pallets have a tool in them, but not just any normal old tool. This tool will take a 17-foot long log, 36 inches in diameter, and turn it into usable boards and posts for us to build anything we can dream up on our homestead. This is a Norwood Lumber Pro sawmill. It's their flagship model. It's portable and it will be a huge feature of our homestead going forward. We've wanted a sawmill for so many years. We've been dreaming about this. We've been talking to the folks at Norwood for several years now, and we're so grateful that they believed in us enough to support us and send one out. We have literally endless projects dreamed up that we will be using a lot of lumber for. We live on a fully wooded lot. We have so many logs already that we are ready to mill into lumber. So it makes perfect sense for us to get a sawmill and create the material that we're gonna be using to make our projects come to life. This video in particular is gonna focus on the assembly of the mill all the way to milling our very first board. Step one is to get rid of all of this packaging material, get everything laid out so we can see what we have. So which one do you think we should open first?
I don't know, maybe the brown one? No way!
A hat! 2 hats!
Ah, so cool.
All right, we're swagged out. And most importantly, the instruction manual.
Wow, this is hefty.
That is a thick little mama.
Just like me.
That is yep, just like this little thick mama.
How do I look?
All right, now she's truly officially ready to assemble this sawmill.
And there's some tools. I think this is tools.
Oh yeah, look at that.
Nice.
Everything you need. So I'm looking through the manual, and it's a good thing we didn't unbox everything first because they have everything so nicely labeled on what parts are in what box. So we're just gonna spread the boxes out. That way we can very easily find the parts as we need them. And there are a lot of parts. I mean, this is gonna be no joke getting this thing assembled. Good thing I liked Legos as a kid. Pallet number 1 almost unpacked. We've got things ordered from 1 onwards this way. That's the engine and the muffler. George is doing the final inspection before we start opening everything up. It appears the second pallet was mostly the accessories like the mobility kit, which is the tires, the axle, a bunch of blades. Most of these boxes aren't referenced in the manual, so I think we'll leave these on here for now, and they're probably covered in a different manual. This should be pretty fun though. Some poor mechanical engineer worked really hard on these instructions, so they look really good. Lots of exploded diagrams, and in the instruction steps themselves, they tell you what box, what part number, what bag, the bags are labeled too, and then what part number as well. So just like a house, the first thing we need to start with is the foundation. In this case, it is the bed, cross bunk, and mobility package, basically the main frame, the main trailer that the mill is going to be built on. The trailer is a road grade axle and wheels. You can take this thing to different sites, different locations where all the logs are. In our case, we're not planning on doing that per se. It's just going to be really nice to be able to relocate it around the homestead though, around the yard. And if we do happen upon a really big log that can't be moved, we'll have a way to take the mill to the log rather than the log to the mill. Thankfully, we have a good supervisor overseeing the operation. These first orange parts that Elena is pulling out are the cross bunks, as they're called. These are the cross members that go along the length of the bed. The first step is to attach these corner brackets to those, which will attach them to the long rails of the bed. We should define which is the front and back. You want to do the front this way? We'll lay all these out accordingly. It's nice they gave you a little handle of cutting into them. I don't know if that's on purpose or not. There is a lot of screwing in nuts and bolts in our future, so this was a non-negotiable to get out of the toolbox. So Lena's putting our through bolts in, I'm coming behind and tightening them all up. With all these together, we can start laying out the side rails. So there's rails and then there's splicer plates. The rails are what the sawmill carriage actually moves on. I'm guessing this, I haven't put one of these together before. But one thing to remember in our case is we actually have some bed extensions. So the standard bed of this is 16 foot long, and we have 2 4-foot extensions. So actually we can do more than a 17-foot log. We can probably do close to a 24-foot long log, which is what the bed will end up being. So those bed extensions come with more rails, as you would guess. And now we just got to figure out where they all go, because there are certain distances that these cross bunks have to be spaced apart. All right, this is starting to make a lot more sense now that it's all laid out. We got the rails upright in place. The splice plates basically bridge the butt ends of the rail. So at every joint goes one of these cross members, and the splice plate is centered on this joint. That keeps the whole rail nice and straight and prevents what you see is going on right here in the grass where it's, you know, like a V shape. The splice plates make sure those stay laser straight because that's what gets you a straight cut. This is the front end of the mill where the trailer hitch will attach. That's what this thing is right here. That hitch will come through that square hole and bolt to that guy right there. This is also where the carriage starts. So that's where it's kind of stored when it's not running, and it runs that way, and that's the cutting direction. This thing is going to be such a beast. Like 24 foot long is no joke. You're only supposed to tow this on the road with only one of the 4-foot extensions, so it's on a maximum of 20-foot bed. So if we ever do need to tow this like long distance, we'll have to take one of the extensions off. There's no problem towing it around here in the yard with the long extension on. And I really do not see us even getting out of the driveway with it even at 20 foot. We have a really steep kind of end portion of the driveway where it comes onto the road. And there's no way we would get this out the driveway without scraping and dragging it across the ground. So we're not gonna do that. It's gonna stay on the homestead unless it absolutely has to leave. You having fun out here? Well, it's mill assembly day 2. We got started a little bit late yesterday, so ran out of daylight pretty quick, but we are starting to look a little bit more like a sawmill here. George has been hard at work, and I was mistaken. I thought that this main piece was the rail that the carriage actually moved on. It's not. It's these really skinny bars, piece of flat bar that sticks straight up, and then there's like a little pulley on the carriage that rolls on top of that. This flange on the outside, the splice plates as they're called, there is another underneath roller that rolls under that, and it's kind of like a roller coaster wheel. Make sure the mill can't fall off the top while it's going down the road or get all wonky one way or another. Stays nice and smooth on the track. But we have been hard at work this morning putting in hundreds of nuts and bolts. There is a bolt and nut in every single hole up and down this entire track. So it's been a lot of just hand tightening bolts. We haven't tightened any down because we need to get this track nice and straight before we tighten everything down permanently. But we're gonna use the leveling jacks that came with the trailer kit to do that. So we're just getting everything in hand tight, getting all the track installed, and then we'll move on to straightening it out. This is definitely feeling like an adult level erector set. Not quite as much Legos. That was really my thing when I was a kid, was Legos, but the erector sets always had a lot of metal, nuts, bolts. This is what that feels like, but it's fun nonetheless. I grew up playing Legos, and I really do think it was one of the primary reasons that I steered into engineering and mechanical engineering in specific. Elena is also a mechanical engineer by degree, although her experience with Legos is not quite as vast as mine was. But I actually kept all my Legos as a kid and all the boxes. And when I got a little bit older and I wasn't as into it anymore, I broke them all back down into their original kits, put them back in their boxes, and they're stored up in my mom's attic. I'm really excited to share that with our future boy, and hopefully instill some of the same creativity and critical thinking that Legos gave to me when I was a kid. So I'm really looking forward to that. Everything pretty much fits together like a glove. All these rolled channels are super rigid because of all the ribs rolled into them. Using a screwdriver to kind of align the holes has definitely helped out. So in general, we're putting all the bolts with the threads facing the inside of the mill, but we are gonna end up turning quite a few backwards just because that's how the jacks get bolted onto the sides and some of the trailer package, like the fenders. So that's why we're just kind of putting them on hand tight, enough to get everything stiff enough to raise it up, straighten it, and then we'll roll from there. I'm not exactly sure where the jacks go yet, so we'll cross that bridge when we come to it. These are the hardest guys to get in, these corner brackets. Most of the time I can only get a thread or two started and then work it in a little bit tighter. I can definitely see how when all these channels are locked together with all these fasteners, it gets to be a really stiff straight beam. The molded channel over here is like a exact copy of the one on top of it, and then the seams are staggered. There's only a seam every 2 foot, and then you add in this flat bar as well that's staggered. It definitely is quite stiff, which is what it needs to be to stay straight, because this is going to be basically a 24-foot long trailer that's got to stay perfectly straight. We'll have, I think, 5 jacks on either side, so those are what's going to keep even support across the whole bed when it's on uneven ground.
Georgie.
We have a dog digging to China at the other end of the mill. All right, George said he's hot, so we're calling in the big guns. Lena is bringing out our little easy up tent, which we got as a wedding gift. And gosh, this thing has been great. We have not had a pop-up tent before for any of our projects, and we have suffered in the sun for quite a bit because of it. So we're gonna learn from that and put a pop-up tent for the rest of this day. George likes the tent already. He says this is the perfect dog-sized tent for me. It's the little things in life. Just like being in the shade on a beautiful fall sunny afternoon. And there we go. We have to move it all the way over there so that the shade is actually on our mill though. Pivot. Pivot! Starting to get our jacks all spaced out. There's gonna be 5 on each side. So just did 1 at the forward end, 1 at the rear, split the difference, and then split the difference again and use my tape measure to do all that, make sure it's nice and even. I'm thinking the rear axle will go either just forward or just behind this jack right here. This is a long trailer, so I'm not sure what the best balance of just weight distribution and like turning radius. If we put the wheels all the way back there, this thing's gonna have a turning radius of like a semi truck. Here's what the base mill looks like and what they recommend for axle positioning, but we put 4 foot on both ends of this. We might need to mock up a couple times to see what's best. So I raised the whole thing up about 6 inches and loosened all the bolts, including the ones in the jacks, all the way down. Now we're gonna get this thing straightened out. So as you can imagine, it's a very large banana right now, and the trick they tell you in the manual is to clamp a string on each end, something like this. Raise the string about the width of a nut from the track on both ends, and we can see how big the dip is. There's probably like 2 inches in the middle, so it is a very large banana. Just gonna slowly crank all the jacks up till we're looking good, and I'll try to get it level too. I got my 4 foot level out here. A little bit of finesse later, that's looking much, much better in the middle, and I had to drive some stakes in the ground and use some extension clamps. It was also kind of a banana going this way, so I had to push that curve back out of it, but it's looking good now. I think I can start tightening all these down. Well, that was a lot of bolts. I did the math while I was screwing these all in. It's 32 per section, 12 sections total, so 384 bolts total just to hold the rails in. Very thankful for an impact gun right now. If I would have done those by hand, that would have really been a lot. And actually, I'm only 3/4 of the way done. There's a whole row along the bottom that I have yet to do. I'm gonna do the axle first though, because some of those bottom mounts are used by the axle. But that was, I think, the hardest part of this whole thing, was doing all those bolts. It's just so much faceting. It is safe to say that is not going anywhere. So the backstory on what first got me interested in sawmilling was back in 2019, a black walnut tree fell in my mom's yard. I'd grown up with this tree, dropping these green round things my whole life, and I was like, what are these? And later learned that those were black walnuts, and when this tree fell down in a storm, I was thinking, oh, black walnut wood is kind of valuable, right? Like maybe I should try to use some of this. At the time I had been into woodworking for quite a few years, and I was like, oh, I should, use this. So I called up my old boss at the orchard, who obviously deals with a lot of apple and cherry trees and has gotten several milled up himself, asked who he used to do his milling, and he referred me to this older gentleman who had a portable mill, and I called him up. He came over with his mill for a few hours. We milled up this whole black walnut tree, and the wood from it was just beautiful. And I thought it was one of the neatest things to be able to take this tree, repurpose it into furniture or crafts or whatever that may be, to give the tree kind of a second life. And actually I still have most of that wood. It's in a stack in the back of my mom's barn. I've made a bunch of cutting boards out of it. Whenever I want to make something really fancy, that stash of black walnut is my go-to. But that experience kind of planted the seed for why I wanted to eventually get into sawmilling. And when we got this wooded property, it really was kind of a no-brainer. It was kind of inevitable. I was going to have one at some point, just because we have so many, random little things we want to build here and there. I want to build a machine shed for the time being to keep my skid steer and the mill itself under cover and out of the rain. We're just using this cheap little Harbor Freight tent right now. We need something a little bit more permanent before we do our future barn. Elena wants to build a greenhouse here, so I think we're gonna do like a timber frame style greenhouse at some point. The first imminent project we're using this for is milling up lumber for a fence for George, because he is a sighthound and will run away and has lived most of his life without having a fence to run around in. So we really want to build that for him. In the last few years of his life, he's 10 now, so he's probably got about 5 left. And with the baby coming, we really want a place for him to be able to go and run out all of his energy and not be cooped up in the house all day. So the fence will be the next thing we're working on. But I think it just makes a lot of sense to have one if you're on a wooded property and you work a lot with your hands building stuff. Being able to create your own material as far as lumber goes is really handy. There's nothing worse than going to Home Depot, spending a bunch of money, loading lumber up. It's warped, crooked, you're picking through the pile. It's just basic pine anyway, and repeating that for every single project that you have to do. I'm excited to be able to make lumber of any size, any type of tree that we want to for any project. The ways to use the mill are basically endless. They have attachments that you can make siding and shingles out of it. We can make board and batten siding just how it is. So needless to say, I'm just really excited to start using it, getting some material made, and start building some stuff. It's my new trailer dance move. Jacks are really nice and smooth though. I think I'm about maxed out on them though. And that, my friends, is the completed trailer assembly. It is just over 27 foot front to back. Definitely a lengthy piece of equipment. I don't think I showed putting these in. This is called the log dog. Not sure why they call it that. The real log dog's that little black thing running around here. And this is the log rest. So both adjustable in height. They're both in their transport mode right now, which is fully up. Before we actually start milling, I have to square this thing up so that when pressure is put on it, it is square with these cross bunks here. That way when we have a cant or a squared off log, it has a flat surface to rest against over here. The log dog will sort of wedge up against the log. Spike keeps it from twisting or rotating on us while it's milling. This is kind of a nice feature. Just this one little pin is the only thing that holds the fender in. Even with the pin in, you can just pull the fender right off, swivel it out, then take the pin out and pull this thing right off. It takes less than 10 seconds to take the fender off, which is kind of cool. The next big chapter in the manual is the saw carriage head, so we're gonna start that with these plates right here. They definitely did not cheap out when it came to the thickness of these steel parts. Stuff is heavy duty. Holy smokes. This thing's gotta weigh 100 frickin' pounds or more. Oh my gosh. I gotta sit it up on top of that. I might have to go grab Elena for this one. Might be able just to pivot this up. Pivot! Oh, there's jacks in the way. That's not gonna work. Nuggets. Take 2, no jacks. Pivot! Oh my gosh. That's precarious. This is gonna be fun. Now I gotta try to get these vertical guides through here. Whoa, not realize there was stuff in there. The goal here is to slide this big aluminum piece down into the bottom slot. So I'll get in here and just hold this whole assembly up, and you push the...
What bottom slot, like this?
Yep, that orange channel that matches the rectangular shape.
Okay.
I'm just gonna lift this up and then you guide this down. It's almost touching it right now.
Okay.
You got it?
Almost there we go. It's in. There you go. It's in.
Whew. Yeah, that was a lot easier with 2 people. Good?
You're getting stuck on this side closest to your hand.
You got it. I can't see anything. I'm just holding it up. You just guide the things together. There you go.
Sorry.
Cool. See the world through whiskey glasses. Do I sound like Morgan Wallen? See the world through whiskey glasses.
Okay.
Yeah, pour me Pour me another drink. Yep,
Like this.
wonderful. You hold that right there. I'm gonna get some bolts in there. You need a wrench to tighten it because it's a nylon locking nut. You know why you use lock nuts?
Can't remember why.
So they don't come undone in vibration situations.
Yep, that would make sense.
This is the winch pulley system that's used to raise and lower the saw head. There's a whole menagerie of shivs and cable and things like that. And then there's a hand crank on the operator side that's gonna get this going. There we go. It's a pretty elaborate little array of pulleys they got going on here, but it seems to work pretty well. Did the other side first. Definitely a pretty good feat of mechanical engineering in this whole thing. This is just pure mechanical, basically. There's hardly a wire on this whole machine. So this shaft will rotate. You can see how all the cables are getting tension on them. And it will start to lift this whole thing. This is bringing me back to like physics, because by having all these pulleys, it actually reduces the force needed to lift this thing. So you've got 3 tension forces all lifting up on the same side, whereas if they just had this one pulley, it would be really hard to crank this thing up. But by putting a bunch of shivs, you got the same tension force all acting in the same direction for you. So it's like a block and tackle system, same deal. You can move a lot of weight with just a little bit of mechanical advantage. See, it started on Tuesday, it's Saturday now. Tuesday is a half day, Wednesday, Thursday. Yeah, I guess technically today is the morning of day 5. Tuesday was kind of a half day getting all the boxes set up and everything, but this is quite a project. Like, definitely the largest adult erector set that I've ever had to put together of any sort, but you can't rush it. Like the shirt says, actually, you can't rush quality. Turtle Deck Construction, we have a few of these extra if you want to hop on the website and join the Turtle Deck crew. We relocated the tent today. We're working just on the saw carriage itself. This morning I installed this like blade brake assembly, which is really a cool feat of mechanical engineering. Check this out. So it's purely a mechanical friction brake. These 3 wraps of cable are tensioned by this little spring and knob. So they just stay squeezing, and then you just keep it oiled, and it just adds a certain amount of friction to this shaft and prevents the carriage from going up or down. And they say don't press this. That's what this little warning is for, because you immediately remove the tension from these cables and this whole thing just starts free spinning down with a lot of weight on it. It would just drop to the bottom and probably hurt you in the process. It's like a cable elevator. And as we add weight to this, we're gonna have to tension this up because it's not gonna provide adequate friction to keep this in place. But the idea is it just holds it from going up or down, but not so much that you can't rotate it by hand. This is what it looks like when you're 32 weeks pregnant, working on a sawmill. Sometimes you need to adjust your seating apparatus.
Birthing ball it is.
Well, folks, we are officially at part D of the manual, which is installing the engine. And as you can see, we are in the home stretch. We've gotten through this, and this is all we have left to go. At this point, our table can raise and lower with the hand crank. We have a blade guide. These are the axles that hold the band wheels. They're installed. We have an operator in training. We have a water tank installed to help lubricate, an emergency stop button in case things get out of hand, and our secondary operator and tertiary operator in training. And here's our engine in a box. It is a Briggs 23 horsepower V-twin gas engine, and that will be ample power to run this mill. There are some other engine options. There's even an electric motor option for this if you don't want to do any gas power at all. Doing gas allows it to be totally remote. You know, if you're out in the woods, you don't have to have a high amperage power hookup ready to go where you want to run this. But if you have a stationary mill that's, you know, dedicated in a shop or something, well, then maybe you want that in order to eliminate the gas fumes. But running it outdoors like we are here will work well for us. Now we just have to do the hard part, which is lifting its engine up in here. There's really no good way to hold this thing. You can't pick it up from the fuel tank up top. You need to just like straight up deadlift this thing and then run with it.
Help once you get up in the air.
Crankshaft got caught on my balls.
Okay, hold on. I think this is a bad idea, Alex. Oh my god, this thing is heavy.
All right, ready? Gotta get my foot up here. There we go. Now we can scoot it on. It's supported on my knee.
There you go. Other side is on. Are you okay?
Yeah.
Are your balls okay?
This thing got caught on my nuts as it came up.
You're Gucci.
We're good. Can still make one other child. I'm not sure why I thought this was gonna be like a 2-day project, but even though that we're on day 4.5, I'm really not upset about it. Kind of 2 reasons. First of all, we happen to have the nicest stretch of fall weather ever doing this. We haven't had a single drop of rain since we unpacked all this, which really helps out. And it's just good to do something like kind of mechanical every now and then, where we're turning wrenches. We're not doing like carpentry or painting or whatever. Like all that stuff is good, all that housework kind of stuff, but automotive or mechanical type work is just different. I don't know. It's fulfilling in its own way. I feel like it's a little bit less tedious than something like painting or typical housework. But this kit is kind of cool because there's like a definite end in sight. At the beginning, it was like, oh my gosh, how many more bolts do we have to tighten? But now putting the engine on, it's like, oh wow, we're gonna be firing this thing up today, hopefully. Another really good benefit of putting this together, and this is probably another reason that Norwood does this, is you get a very intimate understanding of where literally every single bolt is on this because you've tightened them all. And that makes it much less intimidating to ever have to go back and upgrade or repair or work on this thing, because you know you put it together from scratch. How hard could it be to take it apart and put it back together again? And I always felt this way about working on cars too. Like when I was younger, I was really interested in cars, but before I ever started working on them, I was really intimidated to do that because I was scared I was gonna mess something up. But it only took one free lawnmower that I was able to disassemble and was unable to reassemble to learn that actually everything can be reassembled. Anything that you take apart can be put back together. And it's really not the end of the world if it can, especially if the lawnmower you're working on is free. There's always a YouTube video out there now that tells you how to do something, and that is really all you need. Like that knowledge is power. And I was asking Elena, like, what if instead of when you went to a car dealership to get a new car, you didn't just drive a car off the lot, you got a frame and a couple pallets worth of parts that you had to take back home and then put your car together in your garage or in your driveway. And how much more confidence that would give everyone else to work on their own car, to diagnose issues. You would have so much more respect for the vehicle. You'd probably take better care of it. It would last longer. Like, what if we did that as a society rather than just handing over the keys and let you drive the thing away? Like that would be an interesting concept. They do make kit cars for like collectors or high performance, you know, roadsters, things like that. But if everyone had to assemble their own car, the world might be a better place. There we go. Check out this little heat shield for this thing. Got their custom logo laser carved out of here and bent this around a mandrel. One thing I've noticed with the Sawmill is like literally every part is a custom weldment or machine part or just something that's not off the shelf except for the fasteners and the engine itself. Those are literally the only like bought parts. Everything else was like custom fabricated for them at some point. So that is a ton of parts to manage and procure. I would be really curious to see what like their engineering team look like as far as how many people they have managing all these suppliers that make this stuff, or how much they make in-house, managing obsolescence and what they do when parts become no longer available, innovating on new products. And this is only one of the mills. They have a ton of other different products, accessories. We have a few other accessories for this mill, which we'll put on at the end. But keeping complex products like this serviceable and going is a huge ongoing effort. That kind of stuff was like literally all my job was when I was in engineering. It was just maintaining parts lists and making sure stuff stayed relevant, serviceable, able to be acquired, that kind of thing. Almost ready to put these band wheels on. Step one here is to put this is basically a V-groove belt like you'd see on like a, you know, any belt drive thing like a lawnmower or anything, but this is almost a perfect fit around this. They want you to put this on here almost like a tire. I guess this is what the blade grips onto. I've never seen a V-belt like this being used as a tire though, but that is kind of a good concept because it makes it replaceable and easy to find because it's just a belt, not some special piece of rubber. Ugh. Our boxes are really dwindling down, and I think we are ready to finally put a blade on this guy. So it is almost fully assembled except for the blade. Engine's all assembled, belt's tight. This seems to rotate as it should. Still got to put gas and oil in this engine. They're shipped dry. And I also got a little induction hour meter that should go right over the spark plug wire here, and I'm going to mount it to this battery box just so I can keep an eye on hours. It's not often you get a brand new engine that you can track from the very beginning, so I want to make sure I'm tracking hours on this one. Last night I got these safeties installed. These are kind of cool, like little limit switches. Make sure there's a cover on both sides or else the engine won't run. And then finally the blade guide. These are some pretty cool pieces of machining. They hold these ceramic discs and the blade kind of floats right between those, bobs around a little bit. Those ceramic discs keep it in check. And here's our water tube right here to lubricate it. Speaking of blade, look at this beast. 1.25 inches wide. Looks like the teeth are hardened and it's coiled up. So I'm gonna definitely wear some gloves when I uncoil this thing because it might spring back at me. Definitely it's got some spring in it. Definitely spring steel. Not too bad though. Wow. That is a big guy. 167 inches long. This tensioner is all the way in, so there's gonna be a lot of slack on this to start. The idea of using regular old belts as kind of the drive surface for this is such a good idea. You can go to any lawnmower supply store or dealership or anything like that, and they're gonna have some generic V-belts of this given length. This is the tension handle right here. What I've been working on is getting these wheels to track straight so that they're perfectly aligned with one another and the band runs true and doesn't walk off one side or the other. It's taken a little bit of trial and error, but you can adjust both wheels with a adjuster bolt, and I think I got it. The blade position doesn't seem to change at all when I rotate this by hand. We can put the blade guides on and then we're ready to mill. I hate gas cans so much. It's a really good thing I didn't film me putting oil in this engine because that was a bloody mess. Briggs & Stratton, in their infinite wisdom, decided not to leave any room underneath the valve cover for a funnel to go in. There's just 2 valves and a piece of metal right there, and it very easily overflows when you're putting oil in. So I was having to add oil at a literal snail's pace to get up to 1.5 quarts is what this engine takes. So the top of this battery box got a nice little shiny coat on it. This is 90 octane ethanol free fuel. I have learned the hard way too many times about putting ethanol fuel in a small gas engine that does not get run every day, especially if it's carbureted. That is just a recipe for disaster when it comes to starting this thing up after it's sat for a little while. It's more expensive, but totally worth it to use the ethanol free. All right, here's the moment of truth. Turn the fuel on. We got oil, we got gas, batteries hopefully hooked up. Let's see what happens. Oh, that was pretty quick. I think I might go. Look at that. That was easy. I'm almost a little afraid to go like full throttle because I just am picturing that blade coming off at high speed and screwing something up. And if I didn't track it perfectly, like that's what happens. So I'm gonna have to like warm up to that, I think. Elena's cleaning up cardboard. We found a bystander inside one of the boxes. What's up, dude?
He's big.
It's like, that was my home. You guys just destroyed my home. He went back into his home. He's hanging out in the living room. Before we mill our very first board, Norwood sent along a few other goodies I want to get installed. First of which is this log loading package. So it's got a couple ramps that just sit up on the track like this. Nothing really holds them there except gravity and the log that you're rolling up on it. Between them is a big kind of winch gantry, which is not yet installed, but it's got a cable winch on it and allows you to hand reel logs up these ramps and up onto the log deck. This is great if you don't have a skid steer with a grapple or forks or anything like that, and you can just skid logs, like pull them over here with a four-wheeler or something and then roll them up the deck. It's also really good for turning really big heavy logs on the deck. Rather than using a cant hook and trying to lever it and muscle it up, you can just use this hand winch. This works out perfectly to have this right now because I don't have my skid steer. My friend is borrowing it for his deck. So all I have is my tractor, and that does have a pair of like chintzy clamp-on forks. It was one of the very first YouTube videos we ever did, was the pallet forks in these tractors, but they cannot lift any log of any substance at all. Leverage is just working against the whole situation, but the tractor is really good at pulling stuff. So Norwood sent along another attachment called the Log Hog, and it's just a 3-point hook basically that allows you to skid with the tractor, and that's what we're gonna use to get a log over here. So this is the hitch receiver that the winch bolts to. All right, so you just get the carriage bolts in those slots and you start the nuts. They'll pretty much spin on all the way because they're not nylocks.
Boop, boop.
Oh.
Okay, your butt is literally in my face though. Okay, just don't fart or something.
You said fart? Look at that form. Look at this strong lady. So you want to lift it up? I think this just, yeah, lift it up a little higher. This just sits on top of here. Just like that. I think the downside of this is, yeah, you can't run the mill past it, so it's really just for loading, which is probably why they do this, so that you can just pull it out real quick. Like once you've loaded your thing on, you just lift this out. You know, you don't need to like secure it in it. I guess you when you're loading something up, you tighten this guy down so it won't move on you too much. But then once you're done, you snag it off. Reeling her in like a fish.
Just kidding. You're going the right way?
Keep tension on it. Keep pulling on this thing. Like tension, like pull.
Okay.
Yeah. It reminds me of my Textron days with the cable winch.
Oh yeah.
I was like the winch guy.
Back to your roots.
My arm was about to fall off.
I know.
Much like that did. All right, that's good because we'll hook it up just about there. So another one of the things that we still have to put in yet are these toe boards, which just fell apart on me as I was carrying them over. I didn't realize that the two pieces wouldn't stay together. The purpose of these guys is to hold the front or back of a log up. So if the log's kind of got a banana shape to it and it wants to rock on the mill here, this will provide support from underneath to keep it from rocking. And it's really simple. All it is a manual hydraulic bottle jack to raise and lower the roller setup. Sometimes you won't need these at all, so it's good to be able to keep it down and out of the way. But when you do need them, you need some power behind it. So the bottle jack's good too. What's nice about these mills too is they're fully like upgradable, and there's lots of different kits to automate all these functions. So rather than pumping a manual hydraulic bottle jack, you can install hydraulic toe boards. Or instead of rolling a log up the ramps with a winch, there's hydraulic log loaders that are like an arm that lifts the whole thing up. So the options really are endless with these things as far as how you can customize it. There's power feeds, power up down saw heads, just things to make life easier when you're milling, like you're not manually, moving your body as much. That way you can concentrate on actually milling the lumber up. When that Sawyer came to my mom's with his mill, it was fully hydraulic, fully power, everything. He said he had milled 1 million board foot on that thing, and it was like his second or third one in his life. This was an older gentleman, so he'd been sawmilling for a long time. But pretty much every function on that was automated. Had a loader on it, it had hydraulic log clamping, it had hydraulic toe boards, these things I'm putting on right now. It was a power feed mill, the head went up and down with power, so it was a fully optioned portable mill. Definitely a really expensive setup, but that's pretty much what he did as kind of a job, I think, even before he was retired. I'm pretty sure he did it on the side almost his entire life. At one point, it might have even been his full-time job. So it's worth it to get the right tool if you do use it every day, but if you're gonna be a hobbyist or someone like me that's not gonna be using it every day, you can get just the basic package and keep the cost low for yourself to start out and just upgrade it as you feel you need it. I do think it's good to start off like fully manual like this, just so that you can really get a feel for like milling logs. Like I've never done this before, and it's gonna be a learning experience, just like learning how to mill. Like I don't know really anything like technical about it other than like the very basics. So this is gonna be definitely a cool learning experience. I'm super excited. Here's what that's supposed to look like. Now check this out. Boom. Beautiful. Also, I realized I had the log dog assembled wrong. This handle is supposed to go through this hole. It will not clamp right now. This is how that's supposed to work. So as you push this down, there's kind of a cam mechanism that pushes that hook forward, and that's just enough to clamp the log in place. Speaking of log dogs, this was another thing that sent along. It's a automatic dogging assist. You basically just lean this hook against the log, and then when you're spinning the log on the mill to turn it over, this is kind of a one-way tooth that digs in and prevents it from spinning back so that you don't lose progress if you're trying to spin something by hand. So that's a neat little attachment too. Shoo-wee.
Stop.
This has been our #1 cardboard. I like your Norwood hat. She's been our #1 cardboard handler and been breaking out down the infinite number of boxes that seem to come from this sawmill. Check this out. In case you were wondering, this is what a whole sawmill worth of boxes broken down looks like, even after Elena kept some for her garden pathway weed barrier. And to top it off, staying in theme with the video, a stroller box. Thankfully, our township has recycling dumpsters like a mile away that they just put in recently, and thank goodness, because otherwise we'd be trying to put all these boxes in our like weekly can recycling to go out, and that was not gonna work. So we're gonna be able to haul that out this evening. It's about to rain, so we gotta do that quick. All right, it's time to get our log hog in action here. So I just took this mower off. It just took me like 30 minutes to get this thing disconnected because it has not been disconnected in a long time, which means things get rusty and stuck. The cool thing about this is I have a 3-point hitch adapter plate for my skid steer. Currently it's connected to the box blade, but I can use this on my skid steer to pull the log in line with the skid steer. Now I have a grapple for the skid steer, basically in a mechanical hand, and that is great for maneuvering logs in big open spaces where you can like swing them anywhere. But when you're back in the woods, they are the worst because you've got trees everywhere and you can't be swinging like a 35-foot long tree basically, or even if you take it down to 16 or 20 foot, you've got way too many trees in the way, and it makes it tough. It's very hard to maneuver with that, and even skidding the logs isn't that great with that either. So with this, you can choke a bunch of logs together with a chain or just one, and it will pull the log in line with the vehicle. That's a lot better for getting through the woods, much more maneuverable, and you're not bouncing off trees and hurting bark in the process. Get the top link. 3-point hitches are cool. You could even use this thing for like pulling fence posts out of the ground or something, moving big rocks, anything where you just need a little bit of lift on it. Sweet.
While Alex goes and gets the chain, I'll show you what I was doing while he was trying to get the mower off. I was actually harvesting all of these hickory nuts. We have a lot of hickory trees on our property, and there's one specifically that's right above this tent that drops a ton of nuts. And it's actually fun to collect them. So I was thinking I can either keep them for eating, or we could make garland or something fun out of them.
In this giant pile of weeds right here, there's actually a giant pile of logs. It's all stuff from storm damage and everything else. So I've eyed up a nice tiny log that we can use kind of to start. I'm gonna try to get this one off. I'm just gonna drag it off with the bucket and then hook it up to our log hog. This guy's stuck in there. Come on. There we go. Well, they're rolling towards me. Not in great shape, but for a practice log, it might not be too bad. It's like a little crane.
All right, winch her in.
Might need to help this a little bit.
I know, hold on one second. It's stuck on that knot. Turn it to the side.
Just keep cranking it up. Once it's on the rails, it'll be easier. Keep going.
It's not gonna get on that rail.
Just I pulled it a little bit too far after I cut that thing off. 1, 2, 3.
There you go.
There we go. Easy. I could have also moved the ramps too. I didn't even think about that. That would have been easier.
We're stuck.
I'm an idiot.
It's late in the day.
Keep going.
Is that jack gonna be in the way?
No, they're good. I also realized my other clamp is over here, so I may need to try to reposition it forward a little bit. I'm glad we didn't pick the most giant log in the world for our first one ever.
That would have been an experience.
It's easier to manage by hand. That's good, you can just pull it out.
1, 2, 3. Engage the core. Hug baby.
Atta girl. In any other,
Uh-oh. We're gonna lose a log.
In any other situation, this would basically be a throwaway log, but considering it's our first log and I have no clue what I'm doing, this is good.
Oh gosh.
We're just trying to get it up further towards the dogs. I didn't even think about that. These are the things that you learn. Just enough to get a dog on it. Lesson learned here is load the log where your log dogs are at. I don't think I'm gonna even bother trying to position this any type of way. I think we just start.
Start, but you gotta make sure it's like more stable.
Well, I'm gonna stabilize it, but I don't think there's any particular orientation we need to have it in right now.
No. Well, you gotta get one flat side and then you can flip it on to that side.
Let's try to get the mud and dirt out of it because that's what kills the blades. It's pretty clean actually. It's up on the top of the stack. Yeah, that bites in pretty good. See, that thing's solid now. Log dog, engage. I think it's good for our first pass.
Oh gosh.
Water is on.
Just don't hit your log dogs.
That's the number one thing I'm checking. Don't hit the log dogs.
Start your engine.
Started easier this morning. Oh gosh. This thing started right up this morning. It's not even trying, but it does smells like a lot of gas.
Yeah, it smells like a lot of gas.
Well, we ran out of daylight last night, but I took the spark plugs out. It wasn't getting any spark, so that told me that it was something to do with these safety switches, and it did turn out. This morning I found out that one of the safety switches on the guards was misplaced. It just wasn't contacting where it should be. There's just 3 safety switches that all have to make contact, this e-stop being one of them, and then one for each guard. So I unplugged them from the engine and it started right up, so I knew that was the issue. The silver lining is it allowed me to install my hour meter today. So this just wraps around the spark plug cable a bunch of times, and induction will get this thing counting the hours the engine's on, which will help with oil changes, blade changes, all that. There we go.
Look at it, just like butter. You're cutting right through the middle of the log. Did you mean to cut through the middle of the log?
Couple observations from our very first ever cut. First of all, I was way too low and basically cut this log completely in half. That's okay. This is why we did not pick a good log to start with. I was more worried about not cutting these metal dogs, because I feel like that's the most obvious thing you're gonna do, is end up just not paying attention and cutting right into these pieces of metal. But that didn't happen, that was good. And then I remembered halfway through that you're supposed to set the blade guides tighter. I have them all the way out, and this is a very small log. So overall though, we didn't break anything. That's good. And yeah, we made a first cut, so I'm happy with that.
I could pretty much immediately tell when he started cutting that it was gonna be halfway through the board, but I really couldn't tell Alex, and there's no going back. So we're gonna try to make something out of this board. What's the project gonna be with this?
This could be a bench seat.
A doghouse for Georgie.
See?
A surfboard, a skateboard.
Yep,
So Alex, from an outside perspective, it seemed like you were going pretty fast. Like, do you think you went too fast, or is that?
No, I actually read in the manual you're supposed to increase the feed rate after you get into the board. And I mean, this is a hardwood technically, but with softwood, you're supposed to be doing like 1 foot per second. Like you're supposed to be moving.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
I did not know that.
It's a lot faster than you think it should be.
Yeah, it looked like you were going really fast. I would have thought you had to
I think I was going slow.
I'm honestly surprised that it's not louder. I thought it was going to be a lot louder than what it is.
So we haven't learned how to like actually mill anything yet. That's going to be for future videos. From what I understand though, our options here now are either to lower this even more and create what's called a flitch, which is a board with bark on both sides. And then you can then later stand those up on edge as a group and cut all the bark off both sides to make a board, or rotate this so that this is up against the log rest, or even do a full 180 and basically start squaring this off into a cant, which is like, you know, a big thick post almost, like a 6x6 or larger. And then you slice boards out of that. Now, this thing is so crooked that I don't know what, I mean, we probably are best off just making flitches out of it and then cutting them as needed.
Like making cutting boards or coasters?
No, I mean, I'm probably gonna, this is like basically scrap wood. So I think we'll use this for like the edging at the bottom of the chicken coop or something like that. Like nothing important whatsoever. This tree's been sitting outside for a while and you can see this is all decay that's starting. Like this isn't solid wood. This is, you know, I can pick this away with my finger. This is the solid wood here in the center. There's really not much you can get out of that. It's only 4 or 5 inches wide.
So maybe we do use these for the bottom portion of the chicken coop because we need to do that still.
Yeah. I mean, we just need to get a real saw log on here to actually make some good lumber, but that's why we picked the junky one to start with.
Well, you said you have to adjust the things on the sides of the blades.
Well, yeah, I mean, it's just this one. Just brings it in tighter is all. So my log dogs are too far apart for the little board that we just cut, so luckily they're pretty easy to move. Just pull a pin out, and I have another set of brackets back here that are more closely spaced. And this is how we're gonna mill these edges off.
Yeah, it's nice having those extra brackets.
Yeah, I think you can buy just the brackets by themselves, so you could like move these things around, or just buy a bunch of different sets of log dogs to have them already there when you need them.
Are you putting the two next to each other?
Oh yeah.
Is that the same? Here's what we're working with. Looks like we went a little low again.
It's hard to eyeball really where you are from the beginning. Like here it seemed like I was gonna be taking off too little, but once you get in the middle, you're like, oh shoot. And then I barely cleared that roller. So in general, probably should take lighter passes, but okay, we're gonna get like a 1x4 out of this. Like, it's not gonna be a total loss. We'll get a little bit out of this. Just flip it over and do the other side. I mean, the clamps work, these work great.
Yeah, the clamps really do work.
For how simple they are, I'm surprised. Like, damn, that thing really holds.
So this time go barely down from where you're at. Too high.
Yeah, I got nothing.
Now we're too high. All right.
I mean, we didn't get into the heartwood, but that's okay. Or I think I should keep going down until I get into the heartwood. This is still rotten.
Yeah, probably.
Keep going?
As long as you think you could use it for something.
I was gonna put it at the base of the chicken coop.
Okay. Yeah, I would go further.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, we have officially milled our very first boards on our sawmill. Are they nice boards? No, but they are boards that came from our property.
And they're usable.
We can use these for, I don't know what yet, probably the base of our chicken coop where they will never be seen again and can just rot into oblivion. But how cool is that? We didn't have to go to Home Depot, we made boards from our property. I'm stoked about that. We have put 0.2 hours on the mill today.
Alex acts like these boards aren't gonna have a purpose, but they do have a purpose if we use them on the chicken coop. We put them at the base of the run, and that basically is how we staple some of the hardware cloth to go outside of the run and then keep out any predators like raccoons, fox, all those things. So they will have a purpose. They're not the most beautiful boards, but that's okay.
So final thoughts on the day.
Honestly, I'm so excited. We have so many projects in mind for this mill, and we also have a lot of trees that we can be using on our property. So it's really fun to think about giving them a second life.
I agree. As someone who, played with erector sets and Legos and everything growing up, this is like the ultimate adult Lego set that has so much use. Like if you are on a wooded property and have logs that you want to make more valuable than just firewood, this machine is like essential for that. And the fact that you get to put it together yourself and learn the ins and outs, every single fastener. While it does take a long time and a lot of work to get that together, that's an invaluable experience to be able to put that together, and I'm so glad we were able to do that.
Yeah, and honestly, just being creative people, having something like this, which is a tool to help us be even more creative, is really awesome.
Yeah, this is going to unlock a lot of possibilities for projects. Just being able to make our own lumber is huge.
Yeah, and with all of the different potential attachments we can add in the future with making siding and shingles, just challenging ourselves in different ways than what we have so far on this project.
We mentioned earlier in the video, a fence is one of the things that we're going to be doing first, but
first on the agenda, Georgie has been patiently waiting.
George wants a fence, so we're making our only child happy until our next child is here. So as always, thanks for watching. We'll see you on the next one.